Hey guys, for those of you on the replay, I'm just waiting for the notifications to go out, so we're just going to sit here and chill for a little bit. Just going to do a little chili poo. See if anybody shows up. As always, these are impromptu. It seems to be Saturday, though. It seems to be my day, but it's not a good viewership day. I may have to do it again in the morning. We'll see what happens. Well, I appreciate that, Marty. Yeah, they're kind of hit and miss, right? They're not, the recorded videos aren't all that popular, but I tell it from the heart, and so far, not saying I won't ever do it, but so far I haven't scripted any content, so it's all just been off the top of my head, so it's just raw. Normally it's one take, it's raw, and there you go. But yeah, I just wish I had more time to do more of the recorded stuff, because I do enjoy that, and if I can get into it, I can do more editing. But it is what it is. I'm a busy guy, as all of you are. So how you been, Marty? I know it's been a while since we spoke. Oh, did I forget to turn that on? Do not disturb. Uno momento, por favor. That's a rookie mistake. Gotta put your phone on do not disturb. Oh man. Yeah, no, I did that recorded video this morning. It took a while to upload, and the problem I have with that stuff like that is I ramble, right? Because I don't script it, and I'm bad about that. So I kind of, I like to be more direct and to the point, but then when I'm discussing things, they're all interrelated topics, even going all the way back to ancient Rome, right? It's all interconnected. And it is a building block in how we got to where we are right now. So, J-Cab? 2. Yeah, it's class 2. Yeah, doing some LNG right now. This week was pretty decent. I mean, to be honest, but it did mess up my next week, because my next week was already planned out, but it's not going to happen because the load I was supposed to deliver today canceled. So I'm getting paid for today. I'm going to get paid pretty well for this week. It was a really good week. It was turning out to be a mediocre week, but then I had to rescue a load, and then I still got to keep this load, and then I got detention time on top of this one, because they decided not to take any loads today. So hopefully they can take it tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Whatever. There are bugs. No, not my walls. What's up, Anthony? What's up, Trucker 21? Bob. Well, thank you, Knowledge. I try. Are you using gel? I did today. And I have to. You may not be able to tell, but my hair is thinned out some, so it doesn't lay quite flat like I used to. So I gotta spruce it up a little bit. Plus, I had to, put my better face on. Where you find people. Look at this brokey, unreal. That's in the eye of the beholder, dude. I mean, I'm doing pretty well with what I do. I mean, what would constitute you not being classified as a brokey? 50, actually, 50. Yeah. I can't shy away from it. Yeah, big 5-0. And back in July. It is what it is. Well, I mean, thankfully I had some to lose, but it is what it is, right? But I think I'm doing all right. What really makes me laugh is that people think this is fake hair. Right? Well, you're wearing a toupee or a wig. No, this is au naturel. This is my hair, right? Then you get confused because my chin hair has got some whites and grays in it, right? But it's not some. I'm getting the wings here. It's kind of hard to tell with the light, but yeah, no, this is real. Define Marxism. Well, which part? Look behind. You're a bum. That's if you got more than 1.7 million liquid, you're not a brokey. Okay. Yeah. So the same color up to including my goatee. All I have is a little bit of crow's feet. What do you call it? What I can't. Well, there you go. It's good genetics, right? But no, he wanted to define Marxism. Authoritarian. You could even say totalitarian, because it's cradle to the grave. Command and control centralized government. Planned economy. Nationalized services that you're not able to compete with. Abolition of private property. How am I doing so far? No, I don't. I really don't. You can think what you want, I don't. No, I banned Sage because he's a slimy little dick weasel. And those people are not welcome to my channel. He's a bitch. And always will be a bitch. A backbiting bitch. Pardon my French. I have. It's been a whole minute, but I have. It wasn't anything special, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, it's just it didn't do anything for me. You know, twin turbo. I can't remember what model it was, but that was in the Wayback Machine. They actually had that over at it was at Swift, I believe was what it was. They had the new at that time it was new. They got some new Kenworths in, and some of them had the cat engines at the time. Oh God, here we go. Yeah. Oh, we must be getting the Marxists in tonight, man. That's pulling them in. Hey, you know what? I'll see you guys in Portland, right? When we're kicking your damn heads in. How about that, you little Antifa shitbags? God. This is what I'm talking about. There's no debating these people. You don't even speak the same language. You don't have to. You don't share the same vocabulary, definitions, nothing. There's nothing in common other than you're mammals. These people are scum. You have anarcho-communists running around the streets LARPing as ninjas, terrorizing the public at large to the point where they are now a terrorist organization officially designated, and they're about to get their shit pushed in, and I'm going to be there for it. I'm going to be there for it. If you are one of these ninja and LARPing shitbags, there you go. No, that's not true. You've come to the wrong channel if there's no room for hatred. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Commie little piggies squeal like You know, they squeal. Especially the blue and pink hair ones. Let's see. About your nipples, bro. They need to be addressed. Or bleeding in the last video. My nipples are fine. As a morally bankrupt morons. Okay. My morals are just fine. My morals are just great. You know, there is more to the political spectrum than just the choice between communism and fascism. I mean, there is more to life than the choice between two left-leaning political ideologies, because that's what fascism is. It's just slightly to the right of Stalin. Yeah. You know, there is a thing called liberty. Liberty? Now that would be a true right-wing ideal. Just try it out sometime. No, they're not. They are absolutely not capitalists. They believe they are. Do you realize fascism was created by ardent socialists, right? Giovanni Gentile, Mussolini, ardent socialists. They didn't just snap their fingers and stop being socialists. Giovanni Gentile said that that fascism is the spiritual successor to socialism. And that socialism was a failure because it didn't go far enough. You know, the only thing that may look right-leaning to fascism is that it has a nationalist beat to it, but it is still socialism at its core. And there's no such thing as right-wing socialism. It doesn't exist. Yeah, kind of like a national socialism. That's why they got along with Mussolini. Ta-da! Except the Nazis, the National Socialist Party, put a racial twist to fascism, and they came up with Nazism. And that's basically the difference. They didn't have the racial identity in Mussolini's fascism. It was more a nationalistic, I don't care what you are, Jewish or whatever, as long as you identify as Italian first. There were many, many Jews in the Italian fascist party. And in fact, Mussolini didn't give a shit about the Jews until he was forced to by Hitler, because he was forced into that alliance. Of course, you would know these things if you read about it. No, I do not like Lenin. He's not really making a point. To everyone else knows what the words mean in North Korea democratic, because no, it is actually a democracy in North Korea because the majority rule in North Korea. And see, that's the problem with democracy. It's the tyranny of the majority. That's why we have a constitutional republic. Republicanism, minority rights are upheld because we have a representative government. In a democracy, the majority, make 51%, dictates to the other 49%, good or ill, including having a god emperor as your leader. No, it is the majority rules in North Korea. You may not like the outcome, but that's the truth. It is both, actually. Being a Jew is both. It is both it is the only. They are the only people that their heritage is also conflated with their religion. And that's why it's so confusing. When you say Christian, you're looking at all racial denominations. It's even a broader spectrum when you say Islamists or Muslims, right? But when you say Jews, you're thinking the 13 tribes of Hebrews, right? But again, it's like you have atheist Jews. You know, Israel itself is actually more an atheistic country than it is religious. You know that, right? I don't know if you knew that, but it's the truth. There are many atheist Jews, and Israel is primarily comprised of atheist Jews. Yeah. Our republic is owned by corporation. It was started by landowning rich men for landowning rich men, and it remains that way. To a certain extent, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. When this nation was founded, you had to be male, white, and a landowner. So if you're a white male back in the day, but you didn't own property, you didn't get the vote. You had to meet all the criteria. And you know what? That's not. You could expand that out just from the white part, but having people with skin in the game having the vote, as opposed to people that are just takers, they shouldn't have the vote. Our system was not designed to have the poors voting themselves give me that's out of the public treasury. It was never designed for that, and that's why one of the reasons why we're $37 trillion in debt. You don't have to like that, but it's the truth. Yeah, well, rich people are always going to have the upper hand. I don't care what system you go to. That rich people took over in communism. That's why they became oligarchs. All they did was get rid of the czar and put the politicos in power, and the politicos became the new elites because they took everything over, and they became the new ruling class. I mean, do I really have to explain that rich people run everything? You could show me any country. What country out there is not being run by rich people? Please explain that to me on this planet. They got rid of the czar and put the Jews in power. Maybe. China? Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? The Chinese Communist Party runs China, and they are the oligarchs there. Do you not? How do I even address that? That is so gobsmackingly stupid. I don't even know how to address that. You're saying rich people aren't in power in China? Seriously. I don't know where to go with that. No, they don't. They are the corruption. They punish people going against the party line. They are the corruption. China's infamous for corruption in their politics. What the hell are you talking about? They're infamous for being corrupt. What the hell are you talking about? The CCP is the corruption. Okay, so I guess you don't like white guys with glasses, huh? Whatever. You know, sucks getting old, right? Sucks to suck. You know, there's no excuse for them. That's what people do. They blend in with society, right? That's why you couldn't point to a John Wayne Gacy or Jeffrey Dahmer or some of these other guys, because they were horrible serial killers and cannibals and shit, and many victims because they blended in. You guys are all over the place tonight, man. No, I do not. However, I do believe that not all cultures are equal, but that's not a racial thing. Not all, well, let's say not all cultures are compatible. How about that? But some are worse off than others. I will say that. And that's, you know, maybe my Western chauvinism showing through. Don't really care. That's the way I believe. If you're in a part of a religion where you force your women to dress in ridiculous religious costumes because you can't control your sexual urges because the mere sight of a naked face or a naked ankle sets you off in a sexual frenzy, as a society, I'm sorry, you just do. I make no apologies for pointing that out. Yeah, but the nuns go to the convents willingly. They're not. There's nobody forcing the women by and large, to dress them up. All right, I mean, it doesn't happen in Western society. Yeah, well, atheist. I'm agnostic. We're talking about whatever's on your mind. It's Saturday. It's a free-for-all, so we're just kind of chewing the fat here. Well, I'm terrible at remembering usernames, so there you go. I don't want to talk about Pornhub. Why do you want to talk about Pornhub? That's weird. Yeah, my cousins are Muslim. I've never seen. Yeah, man, it's just weird. It's weird. It's nothing. It's not even religious. There's a lot of in organized religion. There's a lot of tenets that are handed down that have nothing to do with like dictates from God. You think God cares on whether they're priests or nuns marry? No, that was just something that the church invented with the monarchy, right? Because normally the monarchs would send their third or fourth sons or their daughters that were getting unruly to the church, and having them as nobles siring offspring while they're at church would be a threat to the order, right? Because now you have these kids running around that are a threat to the power dynamic, and they didn't want that. So they're like, okay, we'll send you to these other places. You can go be a monk somewhere. We're not going to kill you outright, but you better not have any damn kids. And that's why that came into being. Astrology is bullshit, yes. Tell me there was a woman before that you were referring to Lilith. I can't remember if she was a Judaic character or not, but supposedly Lilith was created from the mud along with Adam, and they were created as equals. And then Adam was trying to dominate Lilith, and she was having none of it. And she decided to fuck off and leave the Garden of Eden. And then she got a bad rap for being the mother of demons and shit. And then Adam was sad because he didn't have anybody to pull his pecker anymore. So he begged God to make him another a side chick, basically. And then instead of making her from the earth like him, he decided to have her made out of Adam from his rib. So that way she would supposedly be subservient to Adam. That's how the story went down. It's all a little weird. It's all fantastical bullshit, but it is what it is. But you're referring to Lilith. See you, Jake. It's funny how people chant death to the IDF, but we normalize chanting death to America as a statement. Dude, I don't have a problem with Jews, like, at all. I mean, I don't have any particular love for them, but I don't have any hatred for them either. Same thing with the Palestinians, for that matter. I mean, take them or leave them. I really don't give a shit. I'm just tired of America being involved in God's litter box. That's what I call the Middle East, God's litter box. And I'm tired of it. Too much bullshit has been coming out of there for thousands of years, even prior to Islam. It's tiresome. It's fatigue. We're over it. Over it. Love them or hate them, the Jews aren't going anywhere. They have the nukes. They have the nuke. So they have enough nukes to obliterate every population center in the Middle East, including Mecca. So they're not going anywhere. And this was only ever going to end in one way. And since the Palestinians were either unable or unwilling to integrate into the new Jewish order as they took over Israel, the landmass is too small to partition. This was only ever going to end one way, guys. I mean, it's laudable to think that you'll die to the last man and you'll never surrender. But at the end of that statement, what you're saying is that everyone dies. Well, that's what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. I mean, yeah, you put up a fight, you lost 70 years ago, technically. Uh, when you refuse to give up, the fighting continues. Well, eventually you're going to be another failed civilization that came out of the Middle East. You're going to join the Etruscans, the Hittites, the Babylonians, the Sumerians. I know Assyrians, they're gone. They're all gone. And now you're going to add the Palestinian to that list. That is the irony, isn't it? Right? And that is the criticism, a label I throw at the Jews, is that you have beat to death the horse of the Holocaust. And with the never forget, excuse me, that you are now in the same position that Hitler was in back in the 30s, and you are enacting your own final solution to a problem that he saw, except now you're the Germans and the Palestinians are the Jews. It's no different. No different. And that's what I like to call irony. But unfortunately, irony is killing people. Yeah, he's a neighbor of mine. You want to see him? Does anybody know what a Marxist is? Yes, a practitioner of Karl Marx. There you go. I'm so confused what you believe on the what conflict. Are we talking about the Jews and the Palestinians? I don't really care because it's Star Wars to me. Do you understand? I'm over here at the Intergalactic. They're on Tatooine as far as I'm concerned. It's the Jawas versus the Sand People, and they're killing each other for a couple of sand dunes in an arid environment that I couldn't give a shit about, to be honest. But that's their scratch of dirt that they want to die on, and they got a blood feud, and they're going to work it out one way or the other. Problem kind of solves itself. You can't make that claim and say it's Star Wars to me. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. I'm saying what they're doing is Nazi-ish, right? It's called we were talking about the irony. But as far as how I feel about it, the situation, it might as well be Star Wars. Yes. Because I'm not emotionally invested in either people, to be honest. I just wish they would figure it out beneficially to both of them. I'd rather not see people kill each other, but they're going to, because they've been fighting for thousands of years. There's no stopping it. I wish that weren't the case. But sometimes it do be like that, Mr. Stancil. I'm just saying. No, it's not American-ish. When have we gone off and committed a genocide? We haven't. Yeah, well, you're entitled to your opinion. I already defined it. How many times do I need to define it, or are we just not here at the beginning? A totalitarian government, planned economy, central command, abolition of private property, nationalized services. It's Marxism. The blending of town and country. You know. Everyone's got a right to a job, right? Everyone's got a right to work. Well, that's because they force you to go work in the factory. And if you don't meet your quota, they're going to drag you downtown and issue you a correction, which means they're going to beat you about the head with a phone book until you get your mind right that you're going to work for the state and meet your damn quota, or else. Yeah, that's Marxism. I'm not. I'm 100% correct, actually. Talking about things that you cannot control and worry about someone else's problems. I don't worry about other people. I'm worried about kicking an Antifa head there in Portland. That's why, I mean, it's gotten so bad there that the National Guard had to be called out because they can't behave themselves, because the Democrats once again are in open rebellion. And I thought we've already settled this discussion back in the 1860s, but apparently we need to learn the lesson again. It's a shame, don't want it to happen, but it's going to happen. Well, it's being paid for through donations and his own money. It's not coming from the taxpayers. So there you go. If that makes you feel any better. Just like the Rose Garden renovations Trump took care of. It wasn't through taxpayer money. He's a builder. He's Bob the Builder. He's going to build shit. That's what he likes to do. And if he's not doing it with taxpayer money, who the hell cares? And mind you, it's not the Republicans that shut down the government. It's the Democrats. The will of the people are with the Republicans. They were quite clear in their mandate about how they wanted the illegal immigration situation to be addressed. And the rank and file, I'm among them, do not want benefits going to illegals. It's the incentive that's driving these people here. That's the attraction. To get rid of the strays off your porch, you got to get rid of the food source, right? If you're always putting out a dish of milk and a bowl full of food on your porch, then all the animals in the neighborhood are going to show up on your porch one day. And all of a sudden you can't get out. You got to shoot damn cats and raccoons and possums off your damn porch so you can go get to your mailbox. You dry up the incentives, you take away the milk and the food, they eventually fuck off to somebody else's porch. And it solves the problem. Well, I would see a doctor for that. No, it was an ass stomping. Politically speaking, no, it was not close. Like, not even a little bit. I didn't want to let too many white people, well, here without fighting back. Well, there you go. Some forms of capitalism, yeah. Yeah, but we also have labor laws for a reason. Right? We tried laissez-faire back in the day. It didn't work out so great. So we're not going there. We are a system of checks and balances, and where everything is starting to go sideways is when we start eroding the checks and balances in the way we do things, and we are getting back to basics, so to speak. So, but yeah. Not all forms of capitalism are great. You have to understand, just because capitalism is the best form of an economy, it's not a system of government like socialism is. It's an economy. It's an economic ideology. And it's lifted so many people out of poverty. So many people. But just because it's the best thing that we have right now, doesn't mean it doesn't have weaknesses that you need to address every once in a while. For example, capitalism has a tendency to form monopolies. And every once in a while, you have to go in with a strong government and break apart the monopolies. Because our system of capitalism is predicated on competition. Competition breeds efficiency, which lowers prices naturally. And it keeps your economy healthy and flowing. Crony capitalism, you allow the monopolies to solidify, and it becomes a cast iron bitch to get rid of them. So, just like Reagan did with Ma Bell, just like Teddy Roosevelt did with the robber barons, just like we're doing right now, or about to do with Google and ABC, the parent company of Google. It will eventually all have to be broken apart. I know we do. Look, I mean, just because you got the leftists out there, I mean, the left and the right, the rank and file, we see the same problem, right? We see the same problem. It's crony capitalism. It's corruption. The problem we're dealing with as a people is the solution to how to fix that. And some people are small government minded to the point of absurdity for your libertarian, to where you want an all encompassing godlike entity in their government if you want to go this socialist route. And both are bad. Both are bad. Well, if you're Antifa, you're a piece of shit. See your way out the door. You're scum. You're a domestic terrorist. Marxism is a piece of shit. And you should know better. Every time it's been implemented, it's always ended in abject misery, economic stagnation, failure, famine, and a mountain of skulls. Because the big problem with Marxism is it goes against human nature. It goes against human nature. And anything that goes against human nature is destined to failure. And that's just the long and the short of it. Oh, yeah. What's something you wish you knew? In my youth, to buy Apple when I was young. To buy Microsoft. To buy Bitcoin. How about that? Not have to go all that far back. Just to think that Bitcoin wasn't something that was completely retarded and that I should invest a bunch of money into it so I could be a multi-gazillionaire right now. There you go. No, it's not. No, it's not. We're not a planned economy. We believe in private property. No, we are not. We are most definitely not a Marxist nation. Because $40 billion really is a drop in the bucket, and we're propping up a more libertarian-minded president in Milei in Argentina that is trying to wrest control of the economy away from Marxism, because it's been a Marxist shithole since the Perones, Eva and Juan Perón back in the day, and they haven't been able to recover since then. And the Monroe Doctrine dictates that this is our hemisphere, and they were getting too chummy with China. So we are supplanting China, telling them to get the fuck out of our hemisphere, and we're going in and propping up a guy we like. That's going to pay us back, by the way. It's a loan. It's not free money. It's a loan. I don't know why people get that twisted. We lend money all the time. The world runs on debt, and to have a resource-rich and industrious people like the Argentinians owe us a favor is not a bad thing. I'm just saying. It gives us all the footing in South America, because Brazil is flaking out because they're going full commie. They're going full retard. So to have a major nation in South America that is more ideologically aligned with us is a good thing. Yeah, they are. Up until Eva and Juan Perón, Argentina was on par with our GDP here in the United States. Did you not realize that? I'm sorry. I'm sorry you don't know history. Argentina, until Eva and Juan Perón, were destined to become a superpower. How did you not know this? It will. And it's a loan, and they will pay it back. I don't live in my truck, but I do sleep in my truck. I get home a lot more often, though. But, that's because I'm gainfully employed. That's a concept you may have an issue with. I mean, I can't help you with that. There's plenty of recruiting channels out there if you want to become a trucker. I can give you some suggestions, but I don't make money off recruiting. I'm not going to be employed. Oh, you're going to take my job? How? Because I don't like Marxists? Kiss my balls. How about that? The economy's not static, guys. We don't have a planned economy. Argentina can sell us beef cheaper than what the Americans can do it. Again, you got to break up monopolies. I mean, there's what, 4 or 5 packing plants or companies that control all the packing plants here in the United States. Yeah, you got to break that shit up. You know, another guy that's busting my balls. Oh, what about the soybeans, Boggs? What about soybeans? Soybeans. It's one crop, guys. It's one fucking crop. You know, it's not static. It's a worldwide commodity, just like oil. The price of oil is not static. You may have a drought in one area, but the other side of the planet, you get a bumper crop, right? You're competing with the world. It is what it is. Fortunately, beans keep for a long fucking time, so they will eventually sell. And I'm sorry if a Bill Gates farm doesn't quite make a gajillion dollars this year. It's no sweat off my balls. All right, don't really give a shit, because most of our farms aren't small mom and pop farms; they're factory farms. They're still making a profit. They're just not making a gajillion dollars. They're just making a jillion, right? Not a gajillion, but just a jillion. But they're still making money. I'm not hateful. I'm just bombastic. Yeah, I know. They're shit. None of that's true. Okay. Do you grow soybeans? Liberals, I can deal with liberals. Progressives, on the other hand, it's just another rebrand. Progressivism is just another rebranding of the word Marxism, and they did that back in the 20s because if they ran in politics as a Marxist or a socialist, I say, they would never win an election. So they called themselves progressives. But that's all it is. Progressive is also synonymous with Marxism or socialism. Liberals, I can get along with, because at heart, they're liberty-minded people that are still American patriots. Whereas progressives are citizens of the world, and they don't like to recognize borders or boundaries. So they're stupid, they're retarded, and you can't argue with retards. There's no point. It's like literally banging your head against the wall. Listening to you is a breath of fresh air. Well, I appreciate that. And if you feel that way too, feel free to hit the thumbs up button, because it's free. Do I grow soybeans? No, I don't. And yeah, if I did grow soybeans, I would probably be a little upset. But that's the way the dice are rolled, right? You grow a crop, it's a little like gambling. It's a commodity. You don't know how it's going to be affected on the world market. You know, one year he could be a corn guy, or he could be an alfalfa, wheat. There's many different crops. And sometimes you're just in that crop rotation where you need to plant beans of some type. So you go with soybeans to replenish the nitrates and all that in the soil. So it is what it is. But like I said, beans last a long fucking time. So they're eventually going to sell them. Just not right away, or at the price that they were planning on, right? And government's bad about, or corporations too, for that matter. They'll go out there and they'll go out and make a product, and they'll make a profit on the product. But since it wasn't as big of a profit as they were anticipating in their board meetings, their stocks started to collapse. They still made money. They still paid for the cost of everything, and they made money on top of that, but it wasn't as much as they wanted to make. So all of a sudden the sky's falling. No, you still made money. You still made your money. Yeah, I know, right? Third term Trump. I know Stephen Bannon's out there talking shit. He's riling up the progressives is what he's doing. Man, Trump's almost 80 as it is. You think he's going to be, what, another term? He'll be on the wrong side of 85. He'll be closer to 90 than he will be at 80. So, that's not happening, guys. It's not happening. I was already asked that question earlier. One of them was Bitcoin, but I was off saying Apple, Google, IBM back in the day. Hell, even Yahoo, if you caught it early enough. American empire is over. You will witness the rise of China. Not if we stop buying their shit. We built China. We built their military, and we can turn off the tap too. Just saying. You pixelated. Well, I can't help that. What about Strom Thurmond? What about Strom Thurmond? Marxism is double greater than bootlicking. Yeah, I mean, Marxism, you believe in tyranny, basically. It's a very tyrannical government. It goes against human nature. They will force you to, it doesn't matter what you want to do in life, they have quotas of what they need, what the nation needs, and that's the job that you're going to go do. And you're going to go do it and meet the quotas that they demand, otherwise you're going to suffer. Or your family's going to suffer, or everyone else around you is going to suffer. Kind of like China. If you speak out of turn, they have that social credit score. It may be not necessarily you that they go after, but they're going to turn off your cousin's credit cards. They're going to make it your aunt unable to purchase property. They're going to make a life of living hell for the people around you, so they bring on unbearable peer pressure upon yourself to get you to change your ways. And that's what these countries do. All the answers, but the economy always sucks. How's that so? I don't know. I'm happy Roe v. Wade went away. Roe v. Wade was always bad law. It went back to the states where it should have been from the very beginning. I don't know what else you could say about Republicans. Republicans started the civil rights movement, so that was during the Eisenhower administration, so I guess you don't like civil rights. Or the freeing of the slaves. I mean, you can go back to, Republican Prime in Lincoln. You must love wars because Democrats start the majority of the wars. You just go look through history. Only a few were actually started by Republican administrations, but always with the full-throated support of the Democrats, because Democrats haven't seen a war that they haven't liked. Yeah, I don't know what else you're referring to. It's kind of a potpourri. It's a Saturday. Saturday's potpourri day. I tried to go live during the week, but unfortunately, it's I've been extremely busy, guys. So Saturday's kind of a free for all. Trucking sucks. It can suck, but any job can suck. Yeah. Democrats started. I mean, you want to get down to it. All the wars except for the Spanish-American War that happened under McKinley, and then later with Roosevelt, Teddy, and then the desert is the shit going on in the Middle East with Desert Storm, Desert Shield under Bush, the elder. All the other conflicts have been under Democrats, and I mean all of them. How do you figure? Yeah, that's what I said. Bush the elder started the bullshit with Desert Storm, Desert Shield. McKinley got involved in the Spanish-American War. Other than that, every other war has been started by Democrats. Mexican-American War, Civil War, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea. Yeah. All Democrats. I would not. I am not a fascist. I am not a socialist. So I could not be a fascist. Yeah, Eisenhower was 100% correct. Yeah, he did. And who else better to warn you about it than the guy that ran World War II? He was knee-deep in the military-industrial complex. And then he had to clean up Korea. Because it was a fucking disaster that Truman left him. And it's funny that when people reflect on Americana, Norman Rockwell, and the golden era of what people remember America being, it was during the Eisenhower administration. He was actually a pretty damn good president. He doesn't get enough credit. He's not destroying the White House. He's adding a ballroom. Presidents can do that. They can add and take away. That's their house while they're there. They add, and he's not doing it with taxpayer money. And honestly, I didn't realize the White House did not have a ballroom. It's kind of shameful. We're supposedly the richest country ever to exist on the planet, and the president is supposed to entertain dignitaries from around the world, and we don't have a simple fucking ballroom. And yeah, that's a big thing. When you're whining and dining dignitaries, they like to have parties, little soirees, and you got to have a place for people to dance, to show off their tuxedos and whatnot, right? It is what it is. It's not my thing. I've never been a party guy, but I've never been an ambassador either. So yeah, you need a place like that to host dignitaries. So it's not a horrible idea. Just because it's not your two-step and dance hall, that's not my concern. And again, it's not with taxpayer money, so I don't give a shit. Vladimir, that is sadly true. There's and again, that leads back to Marxism. Marxism is the eternal revolutionary ideology. There is never any satisfying a Marxist. That's why there's no reason talking to them. And if you try to work with and fix one of their oppressor versus oppressed dynamics, they just go on to the next thing. They're never satisfied. It's the eternal revolution. That's why these countries are always basket cases. The entire world does not, in fact, hate us. Did you not see the reception that Trump got in the Middle East? Did you not see the ass kissing that the Brits laid upon him when he went over to UK? He's been to the UK twice now. The EU, Japan. I mean, no, the world does not hate him. There are certain people up in the upper crust and the upper echelon that do not like him because he's upsetting the world order that they have been working to our detriment as working class people for so long. He is actually doing a lot to help us working stiffs. He probably did a little bit, yeah, because he's trying to end the war, and Russia is a major nuclear power. So why wouldn't he do a little ass kissing? It's called diplomacy. You know, that's part of being a politician. You have to kiss a little ass. You got to schmooze. Which is a hell of a lot better than throwing bombs and bullets. What would you rather do? A little ass kissing or go straight to bombing? All right? Come on, man. Didn't say inflation wasn't up. Inflation always goes up. It's just under control now, but much more so than it was under the Biden administration. Yes, they usually want about 2 or 3% inflation a year. The problem is Biden exploded our inflation and wages didn't keep up, so we all suffered. It's not gone, it's under control. He's being bombastic. You know that and I know that. Don't really give a shit. Drug prices are going down. You know, the majority of the scripts are paid by Medicare and Medicaid. Now, for private insurance, you may not see a reflection of the cost because he's not king and he can't dictate for everyone, but for government programs like Medicare and Medicaid, yeah, he can. And the prices are down for those programs. I'm sure he's cherry picking certain drugs. Yeah, I'm sure that's true for those drugs. Is that across the board 1,000% down? No. But for certain medications, it probably is the case. Yeah, that's what politicians do. They cherry pick their successes. What's wrong with that? Are you gonna be like these chicks on TikTok that post their L's all the time, or are you gonna yell about your successes? The fact that he's even trying to do this as a Republican, that this is what the Democrats supposedly championed for decades, and they did bupkis about it. I mean, what does that tell you? When was the last time the Democrats went to bat for America? I'm just saying. I just did. He's quoting certain medications. It's not like that across the board. Yes, I just literally went over that. Yeah. No, I do not. I'm not old enough for Medicare. But he's not a failed businessman. I mean, he's a billionaire. Some of his businesses went under, but that's just some of the many businesses the man owns. I mean, to say that he's a failure in business is retarded. He does. He talks a lot of shit every day, and he's talking to the media every day, which is fantastic because you want your politicians to talk to the media. Unlike Biden, who was, mashed potatoes for brains and couldn't hold a conversation. Right? Daddy's money. Yeah, he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Yeah, a golden spoon, whatever. Don't really care. What I care about are him implementing policies that help me. And he's been doing that. More so than any Democrat in my lifetime. Like, in the history of ever. And ditto for Republicans. He is the populist president. And he has done more for me and you as working class people than any other president in recent history. Those are just facts. You may not like his bombastic attitude or, him dropping F-bombs or whatever, but it's undeniable that his policies are here to help and have helped us, the working people. No, it's facts. Facts. Dude, go get a fucking calculator and go figure it out. What policies? Okay. How about clamping down on the border, for one? How about renegotiating NAFTA during his first administration? How about addressing the illegal immigration question? You realize that we were already in a housing crisis prior to Biden allowing everyone to Olay across the fucking border. Housing was already to become unaffordable, and then he lets in 20 million motherfuckers, and then they snap up all the cheap housing, and it leaves you with nothing. He's addressing that. You want housing prices to go back to down to being normal? You want to be able to afford things on a single income so you can raise a family? Do you want to go out there and get living wages as an American citizen without competing with the world for your own jobs here in your own country? That's what Trump's doing. And he's even going after the H-1Bs. $100,000 penalty if you want to bring in somebody from outside the country. You can still do it. But it's not going to be there to, suppress American wages any longer. He is trying to get prescriptions to go down. I've never seen a Democrat do that. They pay lip service, but when the rubber meets the road, they don't. Trump is the only one I've seen to actually go after pharmaceutical companies. He is actually trying to end wars. And he's done a pretty damn good job. That shit that went down between India and Pakistan was serious shit. They're nuclear powers. And they don't like each other. And it would not take a whole lot to flare the tempers for the birds to start flying. And once the birds are up in the air, everyone's birds are up in the air. That's just the reality of it. You may not like what he did in Iran, but he's stopping them from getting the nuke. And that's been American policy for, since the Shah was deposed. So what, 50 years now? So yeah, Trump has done an awful lot. And for me as a trucker specifically, he's done a lot for my industry. Obama relaxed the ELP, the English language proficiency requirements. It was under Obama. And he's the one that started DACA. And now you have all these illegals running around being given safety sensitive driver's licenses to go wreak havoc on our roadways. And he's putting a stop to it. Yeah, he's done an awful lot of good. Yeah, well, with their vacation homes, whatever, it doesn't matter. The housing prices, the cost of the house is going up across the board. And it's becoming unattainable for our youth. And if they can't go out there and find their starter home to start building wealth and to have a place to start a family, it's not good for the American people or society in general. And that's what is happening. Well, if you're a federal worker, it is. I know, there used to be. There should be. But the starter homes, all the cheap housing has been snatched up. They didn't. This is the same shit that happened in California, guys. A lot of my family's from California. California used to be affordable. They had fantastic education. The job opportunities were, bar none, the best in the country. And you can, and the housing was affordable. But at some point, starting with Governor Moonbeam back in the 70s, they decided to stop patrolling the border at Tijuana and allowing all these motherfuckers to come in overnight. Well, what happens when you tip the balance of the law of supply and demand and you don't allow the state to build any more homes to keep up with the demand? Well, the housing prices go up. And I think they did that on purpose because these people were heavily invested in properties. They had these cracker box houses in LA or even up in, Sacramento and the Bay Area. Well, now their bullshit little house is worth $1.5 million. Right? They did it on purpose. And it's never going to go back to normal until you get rid of the illegals. Because there's so fucking many of them. The stats they have been using, the numbers they've been throwing around forever are wrong. They've been using the same figures for decades. Decades. You can see it now when ICE is going into LA and the Inland Empire. And see how they're freaking out about how many illegals are actually occupying real estate in Southern California. It's astounding. And the people that have lived there for generations have been priced out of their own communities because the wages are not keeping up. Because not only are they snatching all the housing, so housing costs go up, but they're simultaneously depressing wages. So everything's more expensive, and now you can't find a job to cover the costs. So now you have the working poor. Now you have people living in fucking tents, on sidewalks. They're not all drug addicts, guys. A lot of them are full-time workers, but they've been priced out of their own community because the jobs don't pay enough. Gee, I wonder why. Yeah. No, it's not. MAGA is America first. It is the most American movement. And we are very much about the rule of law. And we are going to drag you kicking and screaming back to the rule of law, whether you like it or not. And fortunately for me, the majority of the country follows my mindset. Because if we don't have a rule of law, we have anarchy, and anarchy is retarded. It's no way to run a country. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. I argue with dipshits on Facebook, and when these studies are coming out that these illegals are taking advantage of benefits, they're like, it's not true. Illegals don't qualify for benefits. It says in the law. I'm like, dumbass, that's just paperwork. It's called fraud. Illegals aren't supposed to be in the United States at all, dipshit. And they're here physically. And that's reality. And yet you don't think that that person that already broke the law, that is already occupying real estate and working a job illegally here in the United States, is not capable of paperwork fraud to collect benefits. I'm like, this is why I can't talk to Marxists, because they're fucking retarded. Right? The bar that you have to cross for what they consider impossible is ridiculous. It's like the motherfuckers are already here and working when they're not supposed to be. But yet they lie in their paperwork to get benefits through identity theft. And for some reason that's a step too far for believability. I'm like, there are no synapses firing off in that fucking cranium of yours. Name the study. Dude, I put one out today. Or not today, the other day. I shared a Fox News article. And I know you're like, oh, I got Fox News. Well, you know, if it's a pure news article, you know, it's legit. They had a Russian guy, an illegally held CDL, started a trucking business, and through identity fraud, he was able to garner about $35,000 in PPP loans during COVID. And if you guys don't remember what a PPP loan is, those were the loans you didn't have to pay back that were issued to companies that were supposed to cover payroll because the government was forcing people to sit at home to shelter in place to flatten the curve. That is an example of an illegal committing paperwork fraud to qualify for benefits. Go look it up. It's right there on my community page. Go read it for yourself. That's just one example. Just one. I don't know. I can't. Do I have the Bureau of Labor Statistics in front of me? No. I'm talking to you through my phone. Go look it up. If inquiring minds want to know, go fucking look it up. Use the Googler. Or as the kids use ChatGPT, they don't even use Google anymore. They just talk to the fucking phone and have the phone do it. I'm not illegal. Dude, there are parts of my family I could trace back to the 1600s here in America. Who the fuck are you talking to? Parts of my family have been here for damn near 500 years. Hello? Prior to the United States even being the United States, there were colonies. There are some that later came over on boats. Yeah. During the 19th century, we had a mass influx because we had a need for cheap labor because we were still building out the infrastructure, particularly the railroads. And they were going through hostile territory that hadn't been pacified of the engines yet. So yeah, we needed cheap labor. So we had the Chinese on the West Coast and we had the Irish on the East Coast. And they met in the middle while dodging arrows and hand axes. Or tomahawks, whatever you want to call them. No, slaves weren't built on the railroads. Well, at least not that I'm aware of. Mostly it was the Chinese and the Irish. Not to say there aren't parts of the South that slaves weren't involved in, but it was mostly the Chinese and the Irish. Well, I mean, let's see what you look like. I bet it's not très sexy. They did. They did. They were stuck in the Stone Age. They didn't compete. A more technological advanced civilization found them and supplanted them. And the rest is history. That being said, it was mostly the Spanish and the Portuguese, not the English. It was mostly the Spanish and the Portuguese. So, there you go. It was not considered white until 1816 when they were realized that black people was Yeah. Well, I mean, they supplanted the Irish with blacks because it's the climate was different, right? Pale, pasty skin did not do well in the fields of Georgia and the Carolinas, right? So you needed people that were hardier to last in the sun, right? It wasn't cloudy, ever cold British Isles. But yeah, I mean, the Irish were brutalized for forever, really. We should make Argentina great again. We should want happy and healthy allies and neighbors, absolutely. And anything we can do to get them away from Chinese influence and to put them firmly in our hemisphere and orbit is a good thing. Do I believe in eugenics? Not like the Planned Parenthood. Oh God, it's on the tip of my tongue. That bitch that was all about Nazism. Oh God damn it! What was her name? You put me on the spot. I used to know her name. I mean, there are some cases where, I mean, you just, when you're born, you're never going to have a life, a quality of life, like you're born brain dead, right? You're just a carcass with a heart beating. There's nothing going on upstairs. That's no life. There's no reason to keep that body alive, right? So you do have to be realistic about it. There are some diseases or genetic defects that are just so traumatic, it's not a life worth living. And that's just reality, right? We're made of trillions of bits of code, and they don't always go together right. And sometimes bad shit happens, unfortunately. And it sucks. But that's just reality. That's an excellent question. That would be up to the theologians and the politicians. I would say the parents. But some parents, well, they don't want to be parents, and they'll have abortions. They'll have a punch card, have 5, get the 6th one free. So that's not always a good thing either. So at some point, you do have to have the person that being born have their, because they are a person. But like I said, if you're born brain dead, but your body's still functioning, are you really there? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of ethical concerns that could be debated, and it should be debated. It should be debated, but I don't have the answer for you. Margaret Sanger, thank you. It was on the tip of my tongue. She is the one that's institutionalized Planned Parenthood to solve the Negro problem, and that's the God's honest truth. She started Planned Parenthood to keep black people from having little black babies, and yeah, that's horrible, actually. And they took something that was supposed to be rare, and for the life of the mother, and they turned it into supporting degenerate behavior. And it's a horrible thing. Planned Parenthood was always abortions. They just dressed it up a little bit with birth control and getting your physicals and all that there too. But it was always about abortions. It was about killing minority kids and suppressing them. No, I don't believe in free child care. No. You as a responsible adult are responsible for your children. It is not your neighbor's problem that you had kids. All right? You need to go back to more traditional roles and support your damn family. You need to bolster getting married and the nuclear family. Marxists have destroyed the concept of the nuclear family, and that's why our society is in a tailspin right now. It's one of the reasons for a massive decline in birth rates. We need to go more back to traditional roles and the nuclear family, because despite what you may think about our ancestors, the nuclear family was the norm since man began walking upright. And it wasn't until the 60s that it was no longer in vogue. But for some reason, we as a species have survived and were successful and thrived with the nuclear family for, well, ever, really. And their new world order on how a family, how a village raises a kid is, well, it's stupid. A village can watch out for a kid, but your parents raise you. It's not the villages, it's not the school board, it's the parents. And we need to get back to that. So no, you should not have free childcare at all. You need to pay for that. They're your kids. You need to take care of them. Yeah, yeah. They overutilized, they bastardized what they told the American public what abortion was going to be used for. And they implemented Roe v. Wade, which was always bad law because they magicked up some right to privacy in the Constitution that does not exist. And the rest is history. And fortunately, now it wasn't banned. Abortion wasn't banned. It went back to the states where it always should have been. And the states, the people living in those states determine whether they want to allow abortion as part of their society or not. Because that's what the United States is supposed to be. 50 sovereign countries working together. All right? We're 50 little experiments with our own constitutions. And we're held together by a constitution, the federal constitution. And the people that live in that territory get to decide what they want to do or allow or not allow. It's like, well, you have a lot of states out there that allows pot, and some states that don't. I live in Texas. We don't allow pot still. I'm not a pothead. I don't really give a shit. I was a big believer in DARE. I've seen the ramifications of rampant drug use in society and in families, and how it destroyed everything around it. And it's not a good thing. And yes, pot is a gateway drug. It is what it is. Not a big fan. Of course, I'm a big fan of getting drunk in general. I believe in sobriety. That makes me a square. I realize that. I don't give a shit. It is what it is. I don't need to take a drug to feel something in life. It's you need to have a good moral code and ethos, and you follow it, and that will get you through most of the hardships in life. It really will. You should try it sometime. Crony capitalism, yeah, but the whole concept that the Marxists put out that the workers own the means of production, it's stupid, because that's not the reality. It never has been. The politicos control the means of production, right? You can't say that people do it when it's run by the government, and when you're a Marxist government, you're a totalitarian. And do you really have a choice when there's only one party to choose from, right? Kind of like what they like to do in a lot the way the voting system works in California, right? You got to be within like the top 5 or something to get on the ballot. So instead of having a Democrat, Republican, a Libertarian, all that, whoever the top 5 are, so the top 5 could all be Democrats, so you're just choosing between what Democrat you want. It's retarded. So, and that's why California's got a lot of problems. They have bankrupted the Golden State. It's unfortunate because it has everything going for it. It shouldn't be in the dire circumstances as it is. They are, in fact, in open rebellion. As a matter of fact, Newsom has screwed the pooch so bad, especially, because I'm a trucker, so I try to keep my ear to the ground for that, that the federal DOT, the FMCSA, the Transportation Secretary, he's a cunt hair away from abolishing California's ability to issue CDLs. You realize that? Because they refuse to clean up their mistakes. Do you realize what kind of a situation that's going to put California in? Because they're still going to send in ICE. They're still going to revoke the revocation of these illegals being issued these CDLs. But then California's going to need to hire drivers, and they're not going to be able to because they can't issue CDLs. So every bit of their infrastructure is going to have to be outsourced from out of state. Do you know what kind of an economic disaster that's going to befall California when that actually happens? It's mind-boggling that's where Newsom is taking this. He is in fact an open rebellion against the federal government, as is Pritzker and Mayor Johnson in Chicago. They're in open rebellion, and there's only one way to take care of rebels. We've been through this before. It's going to happen again if they don't clean up their act. Yes, you have states' rights, but there's also the supremacy clause in the federal government, right? Certain things are controlled by the feds. Immigration is one of them. That's why Texas was being given such a hard time when we were trying to put Constantine wire on the Rio Grande to keep the illegals from swimming over in the Del Rio and Eagle Pass and all that. And they forced Texas, and they threatened the Governor Abbott, and that's why it was a big kerfuffle under the Biden administration. Even though Biden was in dereliction of duty because he was supposed to maintain a safe and secure border, he completely fucked it off. Texas tried to take it in their own hands. Just like Arizona, they were trying to put containers on the border, right? Big metal containers as a barrier just to slow the fuckers down. And the Biden administration went after that because the immigration is in the sole purview of the federal government. So the concept of a sanctuary city is by default open rebellion against the federal government. So yes, you can have states' rights, and there are states' rights, and that's why each state has their own constitution separate from the federal constitution. But the federal constitution is supreme. Just like interstate commerce clause. States can't issue tariffs against each other because they're pissed at each other. Texas can't tariff California and vice versa. Why? Because of the interstate commerce clause and the supremacy clause of the United States. And these are powers that the states gave up to form the union. So when you have a federal guideline for interstate commerce, there are certain requirements that you must fulfill in order to qualify. And when California is openly dismissing those requirements and then allowing these people that shouldn't be here nor should be on our roadways licenses to conduct interstate commerce, it's a problem. It's a big fucking problem. And it's being dealt with. Yeah, whatever. Hey, catch this. You're about to catch some National Guard over there in Portland. That's what you're about to catch. Chicago, too. All you sanctuary are open rebellion. You're about to get your shit pushed in. I said it earlier. I'll say it again. It's just, it is what it is. Well, if they keep up with this, they will be. Yeah, every one of these blue states are in open rebellion. They will be brought to heel. And just like they did to the South during Reconstruction, they will get rid of the politicians, bring in the carpetbaggers, and get right with the law again. And once they learn how to behave, they can start having open elections. But until then, yeah, you're about to be going through the Reconstruction. Well, because they're an open rebellion. They're going against the federal government. What California is doing right now is no different than literally what the Confederates were doing. No, we're not giving up slavery. You are. No, we're not. You are. In fact, we insist on it. And we're going to win this argument. And they did. And they put the rebellion down, and they changed out the politicians during Reconstruction, and we're all better off for it. You don't just get to turn and tell the federal government to fuck off and not think there's not going to be ramifications for those actions. Sorry. If you have a beef with the federal government, you send your representatives to the legislature, and that's where they have the debates. Get a better argument. Right now, the Democrats are losing theirs. They did. They really, really wanted to keep those slaves. No, the South rebelled against the Constitution. It wasn't just the North. That's just the way it fell on the dividing line. They rebelled against the Union of the States. That's what happened. Well, we're not giving up California. We're going to make them heal. We're going to get them right with the law. We don't want to send federal troops into California or any other state for that matter, but when you're an open... When the Civil Rights Act passed, and Eisenhower had to call up the National Guard to open up Arkansas, to let the little black kids go to school by gunpoint, was that a good or bad thing? I'm just asking. That's where we're at. You don't just get to tell the federal government no. Certain things are debated in the legislature, and yeah, they normally change for the better. Normally. Not always. Yeah. Yes. The Civil Rights Act of 1957. Yes. The civil rights started under Eisenhower. Did you not know that? It wasn't Kennedy. It was Eisenhower. Oh, man, you got a lot of history to read, bro. I don't know what to tell you. There's a lot of misconceptions out there. That's what I'm saying. Read a book. Read a fucking book. Or go buy it on Audible and go listen to it if you don't have the time. I have to listen to a lot of mine because most of my day is wrapped up in, well, work. But I got a lot of free time to listen to stuff down the road. Yeah, you should do that sometime. Yeah, you're ironically coming at me to read a book, and you didn't even know that Eisenhower, it was the civil rights started under Eisenhower. That's amazing to me. Yeah. It may be sealed for good reason, guys. I, as an inquiring mind, would like to see the full files put out there. But they're not going to tell us everything. It is what it is. And no, it's not a good look for Trump. Do I think he was out there schlepping kids? No, I don't. He was fucking porn stars, adult women. He was not fucking little kids. And it would be nice to see justice brought to these shitbags. I know a name floating around now is Ehud Barak. He was an old prime minister of Israel. Apparently he was a frequent flyer over to Epstein, to the pedo island, so I would like to see justice done, but nothing I can do about it, guys. I don't think he was. Trump is the one that narked out Epstein initially. That's when he did his first jail sentence, because Trump turned him in because he was trying to poach his staff there in Mar-a-Lago. Trump turned Epstein in. He got him arrested and put in jail. And yeah, see, this is something that people get fucked up. All right. The most inbred people on this planet are the elites. They don't hang out with us hoi and polloi. Right? And the air is very rarefied up at their stratosphere. So everybody knows everybody. And Epstein was a socialite. He was the party maker. You're going to a party, chances are it was an Epstein soiree. Right? There are only so many people out there putting these events together. So everyone knew Epstein. They all partied together. They all rubbed elbows. And then when Trump saw the shady shit, after he getting to know the guy better, he narked him out. He did. He just did. But it's not a good look having all the photos with the guy. But he's taking a lot of photos with everybody out there, because that's what socialites do. They mingle. They put parties together. You know, whatever. Well, snitching on a pedo is a good thing, I would think. It's okay to snitch. It's okay to snitch. I never agree with snitches get stitches. Fuck you. If you're fucking up, the authorities need to deal with you. Absolutely, 100%. You're fucking drug dealing in a neighborhood, and you're bringing in a bad element, and you're peddling poison around my kids. Yeah, if I see you do it, I'm gonna narc your ass out. 100%, 110%. I'm getting the law involved. You bet your damn bottom dollar I will. I don't want that shit in my neighborhood. Or any other fucked up criminal activity you got going on. I don't want it around me or mine. Fuck off. He did, actually. That's in that. He did. He turned Epstein in. Yes, he did. That too. Don't really give a shit. Criminals turning on criminals, don't really give a shit. They're all scumbags as far as I'm concerned. Why do you care so much about Democrat statues? I don't even know what you're talking about. What statues? Are you talking to me or somebody else? Yeah, they're saying he wasn't involved. Right? Whatever, man. They're just gonna hate the guy because they want to hate the guy. They think he's Orange Hitler. They think he's fucking Orange Satan, and he's coming down and he's fucking up everything, even though he's making everything better. But in the process of making things better, certain things are gonna have to change, and people don't like change. They don't like their fellow American having a living wage, right? They're so used to having illegal labor suppressing wages that now they're gonna have to pay a little bit more for their avocado toast, and they don't like it. They don't like it. You know, they're going to have to pay a little bit more for their clothes or whatever the fuck, right? Because we're putting tariffs on goods that used to be made here in the United States, but they fucked off overseas to get away from good environmental practices and labor laws. So now they don't care about the air and the rivers getting choked with pollution or having the goods, you know, built by literal slave labor. They're okay with that as long as they save $5, right? But there's enough of us here that are going to make you care. We're going to make you care, and we are going to address it, and our will be done. And that's just all there is to it, because there's more of us than you, And we won the election, and we're going to continue to keep winning the elections, and there's nothing you can do about it. So there you go. You might as well get your mind right, because this is how things are going to be run from now on. It is. Not all of it, but certain amounts of it are coming back. Yes, that's true. Not gaslighting. I'm just telling you the truth. Trump's back in power. How else do you want me to explain that to you? How else would he have gotten back into power if our will were not done? So there you go. You don't like intellect. Well, that's a matter of opinion. Uh-oh. Covering for a pedophile like yourself, what happened to having a moral code? I have a moral code. You're labeling a guy as a pedophile without any evidence, which is horrible, actually. To label somebody like that and you have zero evidence for that. Zero evidence of a guy being a pedophile. Now, if he is a pedophile, he should swing. Fuck jail. Hang him. That's for any pedophile. But you better have proof when you make an accusation like that. I'm just saying. If the elites are inbred, then why are you poor? Am I poor? I don't think I'm poor. Am I fantastically wealthy? No. I wouldn't consider myself poor. If manufacturing not coming back, why is the auto sector in Canada closing its factories and moving back to the United States? 2 plants in Michigan, 1 in Indiana. And don't forget the ones in Mexico, too. I know. They like to throw this shit out there, right? Are we going to be making Nike sneakers or T-shirts here? We do have some, right? But steel is being made. I've physically seen with my own 2 eyes when Trump implemented the tariffs, steel plants that were dormant being brought back to life. I've seen that. I've witnessed that myself. Because they take cryogenics, mainly oxygen, right? They deliver a lot of liquid oxygen to these steel refineries. That's just one industry. It's happening. Maybe not fast enough for certain people, but you can't magic up infrastructure overnight that's been mothballed for 40 years. It doesn't work that way. But it is making a comeback. But it is going to take time. And it's not always going to be filled with workers. A lot of it's going to be automated too. You know, that's the big push right now when you see the shit going down with the, talking about the Indians specifically out there, even though it's not just the Indians, but they're targeting the Indians on the roadways. They want to get rid of these people, but it's not a big push to refill it with American workers. They're going to try to do it with automation. It's more a big push to put the autonomous trucks on the road. And I think that in itself is going to be a mistake too, because that technology it's still not great. It's still not great. Yeah, I know they have some statistical data right now, but they're the vast minority of the traffic on the highways, and once they start expanding out to where they're more commonplace, then they're going to be a real damn problem. All these autonomous vehicles on the highway. So, but we'll find out. And they're going to try everything they can to suppress wages. They're going to try everything they can not to pay a person to do this job. But fortunately, I'm in a sector of it. I don't have to worry about that, at least for right now, because it would be too cost prohibitive to replace me because of the product I'm hauling, specifically hazmat. And there is currently no way for autonomous trucks to haul hazmat. So if you are in trucking, that's where I would look. They can't replace hazmat yet. Just saying. That's just my advice from me to you if you were interested in trucking. And I make a good living doing trucking. You know. You don't have to believe me. Don't really give a shit. But I do. Yeah, I know. I know. And it's from people that I had my own experience, guys. About this time of year, back in 2017, the day before Thanksgiving, I was going through a construction zone north of St. Louis on the Illinois side. And I was the last vehicle hit in a chain reaction of a guy from Somalia and his teammate that didn't slow down for the construction zone. At that time, they said I was rolling about 7 miles an hour. This guy came barreling through at 70, and he killed many people, many college kids going home for the Thanksgiving holiday. So yeah, I have been personally involved with this bullshit. They arrested the guy. He made bail and skipped town, by the way. He killed a lot of people. Shouldn't have been over here. Should not have been driving a commercial vehicle. And that's just the people he killed. There were many people that were maimed and permanently injured as well. Never should have been on our roadway. I don't follow Ike, Willie. I don't care. If he accidentally did something correct and useful for a change, that's great, but I don't follow the man. My political views are still no, my political views are quite succinct and logical and reasoned out. I don't understand what you have a problem with my political views. Well, thank you, Javier. Indians in Canada had their student visas canceled. Unfortunately, no one will be hunting them down because we don't have the ice up here. Well, right, DJ? Yeah. Yeah, they do. It's perfectly reasoned and logical. It's America first. The Democrats shut down the government because the Republicans are fulfilling a promise of doing away with the incentives for illegals to be here, up to and including health care. I don't know what's so hard to understand about that. They should not be here, and they don't qualify for government assistance for anything because they shouldn't be here. And the American taxpayers are fucking tired of it. We're tired of the wages being suppressed. We're tired of the real estate being out of control and the cost. We're tired of the corporations getting away with hiring the illegal labor. We're tired of the money disappearing from our economy and going overseas as remittances. It's the only people that win are the illegals and the business owners. The business owners need to be in jail too, by the way, not just the illegals. We should be making examples of business owners hiring these people. Heavy punitive fines and mandatory jail times for each illegal found to be working at their company. And once we have enough business owners doing time, that shit will stop overnight. You don't even need the wall anymore because the economic incentive will be dried up and they will go home. And it's not like the illegals want to be here. They'd rather stay at home. Right? But they're being incentivized to come here. And you have to stop that. Yeah, I know. Exactly. The majority of the legislature wants to keep the government open. It's the minority that has shut it down. And it's going to remain shut down because the Republicans are not going to budge because we have the mandate. This is a Democrat shutdown. Over 53 people have voted to keep the government going. They just need 7 more to get to the magic number of 60 to open it back up. And that's all Democrats. And they're going to lose this fight because they don't have the political will, because the people are on the Republican side. They just are. We're tired of the bullshit. We're too well informed now between social media and the internet. They can't hide the bullshit like they used to. And you're not gaslighting the people anymore like you used to. You're just not. It's not a crock. That's exactly what it is. No, they don't. We absolutely do not. We have the majority, and we only need a few votes coming from the Democrats. And trust me, there will be enough Democrats that are moderates that will feel the pressure to break away from the party because their constituents are really pissed off at them right now. And they will capitulate, and they will vote with the Republicans to open the government up. And all of this would have been a complete waste of fucking time, because we're still not funding illegals with the ACA or any other program. We're just not going to do it. It's a full stop, hard break, not happening. We're not capitulating, period. I think we have a good chance of keeping the midterms with all the restructuring of the districts. I know California is trying to do an emergency Prop 50, but that may not even go through in California if Newsom is even allowed to remain in office. And yeah, the Republicans are finally fighting back. We have been the Democratic doormat for too fucking long, and they're finally growing a spine. The Democrats have had their shit gerrymandered to the hilt forever, and the Republicans have finally had enough. And the Democrats are way overrepresented in Congress anyway, and that needs to, well, there needs to be a reckoning, and that's what's happening. Yeah. It's no mistake that Texas redistricted prior to the midterms, and that's why Newsom is trying to go against their own constitution in California to redistrict them before the midterms. It's not an accident, and other Republican states are going to follow suit with Texas, and we're going to keep the Congress. Because the political will is with the GOP right now, because they are the populist party. It used to be the Democrats. The Democrats used to give a shit about the American workers. They don't anymore. It's actually the GOP. And you saw that in the last election with the union bosses going to the GOP convention. I had never seen a union boss at a GOP convention, but there he was. And because he went there, he was disinvited from the Democratic convention. Did you know that? They disinvited a union boss because he happened to recognize they had a lot of Republicans that were union members, and they wanted him to speak at the Republican convention, but then he was disinvited from the Democrats. That should tell you a lot about how far the Democrats have swung away from the working class that they used to pay lip service to. Right, but I think Trump does. He's a patriot. He's not a traditional Republican. He's a populist. He is what we used to call a blue dog Democrat from back in the 80s. Like a Republican Democrat. Excuse me, a Reagan Democrat. That's what he is. He's always been a Democrat. Look at his policies. They're not Republican. They're Democrat from back in the 80s and 90s. He sounds like Bill Clinton from the 90s. You ever listen to the old clips from Bill Clinton talking from back then? And compare and juxtapose that with Trump right now? Yeah. He was always a New York City Democrat. No, that unions are not communist. Well, statistically speaking, there are more stupid people than smart people on either side of the party, so he's probably not wrong. Just being real. Very few people found this channel, and you're new here, and I'm primarily discussing politics. You're not the norm, regardless of what political affiliation that you root for. You're not the norm of the rank and file of the citizenry. Most citizens aren't plugged in and they don't give a shit. Or at least they used to. It's changing a little bit now. And it's good and bad because there's a lot of bullshit information out there that people latch onto. We should have some civic mindedness, right? It should be a responsibility as a voter to be somewhat informed. You shouldn't be voting for a politician because you like the color of their suit or dress that week. Dumb shit like that. They treat it like a sports team. Oh my God, that looks super cute. I like that. I'm gonna vote for that. It's not the way you should be doing your politics, but unfortunately a lot of people do. Do you follow X? I have an X account, but I haven't been able to get back into it, honestly. I don't use it a whole lot, but I have one. I agree. We should be as informed as we possibly can. We can't be informed of everything, though. That's why we have representatives we vote for to do that for us as their job. So we can go on our daily, to do our day-to-day shit and focus on our careers. But we should be informed enough to pick a representative that holds our ideals, that goes and represents the people in their district, to go vote for them and represent them in government. That's why we have, it's called republicanism. We have a republic. We are a constitutional republic. We're not a democracy. You have retards out there on the Democrat side saying, we're killing democracy. Well, we never had democracy, nor should we ever want a democracy. And I went over that earlier on the live feed. Democracy is retarded. We don't want that. We have a constitutional republic. It's a representative form of government. It's not the majority rules over the minority, right? Republicanism protects minority rights. Well, there you go, Javier. We got to the end of the live feed and we agreed on something. Right on, man. Ground pound. All right? See? Where's common cause? Populism is the workers' party. It is not necessarily a right versus left issue. It's about taking a stance about you want America first, right? At least American populism. And that would include bits of the left wing and bits of the right wing. We mash it together to make what's best for us. And you're entitled to your opinion, dude. And there probably are some brainlets out there. I'm not saying that everyone out here is a fucking Einstein. Never claimed it. But don't think that you don't have your own bumper crop of stupid over on the left, because I see it all the damn time. All the time. They are jingoistic, sloganeering, They don't know what the hell they're doing. A lot of these rallies and protests are by paid protesters. They go out and interview these people. They're just out there paid to hold a sign. They have no fucking idea what they're doing out there. They just know they get paid $12 an hour and a free cup of chili if they go out there and say down with the current thing, right? It is what it is. It's AstroTurf is what it's called. The far leftists are commies. Yes, I agree. And communism is stupid. Don't be a commie. It's antithetical to the American way of life in a way of in basically our entire being. It's against human nature. It's an abomination. It's an evil ideology. Socialism is an evil ideology. Socialism is the foundation for communism and fascism. As top gas half price and dollar isn't on the brink of losing the full. Yeah, about that. What happened to Dan Crenshaw? I liked him when he got elected. Dan, he's one of those guys that talks a good game. He's got a good backstory, but his voting record's like, eh. Yeah, you did. You did. It's like Ted Cruz, right? I'm a big fan of Ted Cruz until he starts talking about Israel. I, as an American, working class American, don't give a shit about Israel. Couldn't give a fuck. But they're major political donors, so he's got to pay them lip service. I get why he has to play the game. But it is very off-putting as me as an American worker to hear him like, oh, Israel, so swell, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't give a shit about Israel. And there's a lot of problems over in that area, and a good amount of that's caused by them. So, and I don't want their bullshit over here, but they're bringing it over here. Why the hell are we having free Palestine rallies here in the United States? We're nowhere near Palestine. I don't give a fuck about Palestine. Palestine doesn't even exist. You can't even find it. It's not on the map. It doesn't exist. Why the fuck do I care about Palestine? I don't. I don't give a shit about whatever the fuck they got going on over there. I want what's best for us here in the United States. You know, it is what it is. Socialism is the foundation of communism, as is the foundation of fascism. Yes, it is. Yes, yes, it is. As a matter of fact, Stalin identified himself as a socialist. Go look it up. As did Hitler, by the way. Yeah, no, it's an evil ideology. It's evil, straight up evil. And the people that keep trying to implement communism or socialism in general are just fucking brain retards. It's never going to work. They always claim that real communism is never implemented because it never can be. It's the Soviet Union is the closest you're going to get to actual communism, as the utopists have idealized it. It's never going to be implemented with unicorn farts and rainbows and puppies for everyone, and everyone's going to go find themselves, and no one's going to have to work unless they don't want to. You know, everyone could be all fucking artists and poets and shit. When in reality, you're going to be marched to the local factory and forced on the conveyor line to do the thing for the state, or else. That's reality, right? So, and we know that because the 20th century was a thing, and we saw the rise and fall and rise of communism. It pokes its little head out like a turtle every once in a while that has to be whacked. No, it's not. Socialism is an ideology, not sources. Just because something comes from the public largesse does not make it socialism. That, again, that's the Marxist rebranding of the term. It's retarded. That's not what socialism is. Just because something is paid from the government does not make it socialism. The fire department, the police department, the school districts, people paving the roads, it's not socialism. That's not what it is. Again, socialism is an ideology of the abolition of private property, and it's also about nationalizing services. Socialism would be having the United States Postal Service and you nationalize FedEx and UPS, smush that all together, and then you forbid any other company from opening up and competing with that government structure. That's socialism. And that's what Hugo Chavez did down in Venezuela. And that's why Venezuela is a basket case. That's socialism. That's democratic socialism. And all democratic socialism is socialism being implemented without the normal prerequisite of a revolution to be implemented, right? Hugo Chavez was a democratic socialist because he was voted into power. He didn't have to march on Caracas to take power. He was voted into power. That's democratic socialism. And they suffered for it. Yeah, I mean, you can. I mean, like I said earlier, capitalism has its own issues, right? Just because it's the best option doesn't mean it's flawless, and that's okay. You can address once you know the strengths and weaknesses of your ideology. You can put up bulwarks to keep the shit from going sideways, right? So yeah, it's not perfect. It's just the best option that we have currently. I wouldn't know if I would go that far, 7Q. Either you can't have a communism or fascism without socialism first, it destroys all rights, and they fight for what side. Exactly. Yeah. That's why in American politics, and I guess I have to stipulate that when you see fascists and communists fighting each other, it's actually two left-leaning ideologies fighting against each other. That's correct. Yeah. Now, that being said, with unions, I have no problem with private unions. Private sector unions, it's the public sector unions that should not exist. There should not be a teachers or a police or IRS or any kind of other governmental institutional union. As a matter of fact, they were outlawed under FDR because they're anti-American. And there's a huge conflict of interest, because the unions become the huge voting bloc, and they basically vote for their bosses. And the bosses don't care about whatever section of government those bureaucrats are inhabiting, because they're not there to make a profit. See, a private sector union has a symbiotic relationship with the business owner to keep the company healthy, because if they don't, then the company folds and everyone suffers, right? That incentive, that symbiotic relationship does not exist with public sector unions. You're voting for your boss. Your boss doesn't care about the budget because they're not there to make a profit. They just come and tax us more. So that's why they have all these ridiculous amount of benefits and Gibbs-me-dats for government workers that you don't get in the private sector. Right? They don't care about keeping the organism that they're working within healthy. All right, guys, I think we're winding down. Been out for 2 hours, and most of y'all fucked off for the weekend, and I don't blame you. But if you have lasted this long, I do appreciate you, and we'll do it again sometime. I need to try to find time to do this more often during the week, and it's hard. I've been really super busy, but again, I appreciate you guys being here. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing and throwing a thumbs up, and I'll talk to you again soon. TC out.